ignorant, untrustworthy, weak, hysterical, joke. These were all words used to talk about female activists that were fighting for their true rights, especially those in the medical field. Dr. Elizabeth Blackwell is best known for being the first woman in the United States to graduate medical college with a degree. Her exploration in the field of medicine led her to pursue her own career, ultimately allowing other women to be able to explore other opportunities in the future. Blackwell triumphed over many gender stereotypes while trying to become a medical practitioner, leaving other women to be inspired with her leadership and earning her a spot in medical history. Despite her encounters with immense opposition in the medical field, Elizabeth Blackwell became the first woman to earn her medical degree, paving the way for women's rights by exchanging her medical knowledge with other women and encouraging gender equality while exploring the field of medicine. At this period in time, medicine was a man's job. People across the world believed that women did not have the capability to become anything other than mothers or midwives.
A profession that, in a way, they certainly are suited for, the act of nurturing and caring for others in the home, but they were excluded from doing that in a professional manner.
Women were regarded to as the weaker sex, so stereotypical jobs that were given to them included small things like cleaning, cooking, and staying home to take care of children. However, societal norms began to stir as a new leader rose to challenge those stereotypes. Elizabeth Blackwell was born into a loving and wealthy family in England on February 3, 1821. Her family, unlike many others, believed that an education, no matter the gender, was incredibly important. When riots and fights broke out across Bristol in 1830, Samuel Blackwell decided to live the American dream and move his family to the United States to keep them safe. At the mere age of 11, Blackwell was forced to leave for New York. As soon as everything started to run smoothly, the Blackwell family faced two major tragedies. Money ran low as their sugarcane plantation was burned down in a fire, forcing them to make a second move. Samuel died later that same year, forcing his eldest daughters to take on the uncommon maternal role and tend to the family, which was deep in debt. Elizabeth and her two older sisters decided to open up a boarding school to help, regardless of society's judgment. This inspired Elizabeth to pursue teaching at a schoolhouse in Kentucky. However, when she arrived there, she was met with a shocking discovery. The schoolhouse was hardly selected. The windows were broken, the floor and wall filthy, the plaster falling off, the responsible trustees not appointed, and the scholars unnotified of my arrival. Her initial excitement dimmed after being exposed to the harsh reality of slavery and the lack of education in Kentucky, leaving her to conclude that there were better things to do with her life. Blackwell found the push that she needed when she visited her friend, Mary Donaldson, who was diagnosed with a disease similar to uterine cancer. The excruciating pain consuming Donaldson left her to ask Blackwell for a favor: to find a female physician that could take care of her more gently, as male physicians were rough. Blackwell's search led her nowhere, leaving her to realize how sexist it was to prevent women from getting an important and responsible job. As Donaldson continued to grow weaker and weaker, she asked Blackwell to study medicine to prove that women could be helpful in the medical field. Despite her increasing interest, Blackwell politely declined. For weeks, I tried to put the ideas suggested by my friend away, but it constantly recurred to me. After Donaldson passed, Blackwell finally chose to honor her friend's wishes and become a physician. She was determined to show the world that women were able to do anything a man could, like her friend said. Blackwell notified her family, a group of abolitionists who believed in gender equality. They immediately approved, but warned her of rejection and disappointment. After raising the money needed, Blackwell filled out applications to 29 different medical colleges, hoping for doctors to send in a recommendation. After being rejected by all the colleges she applied for, Blackwell grew frustrated. She decided to apply to smaller, lesser-known colleges. After all the blood, sweat, and tears that Blackwell poured into those applications, she finally got accepted into the Geneva Medical College in rural New York in 1847. Her application came with a letter of recommendation from the highly respected physician, Dr. Joseph Warrington, causing the skeptical dean to accept her in, though he was against it at first. The dean also had the students vote on their soon-to-be college, just to see their reactions. Shocked, they considered it a practical joke, leaving them all to say yes to Blackwell's admittance.
They thought it was a joke. So they all said, oh, we will be most kind to her, and we'll make sure she never regrets coming here. And how astonished they were when she actually did come.
The moment Elizabeth Blackwell stepped into the classroom, panic filled the school. Once they realized that her admittance was not a joke, her male peers and the staff barely allowed her to do anything, thinking her presence to be unnatural and inappropriate. Blackwell was kicked out of many classes, demonstrations, and labs. I had not the slightest idea of the commotion created by my appearance as a medical student in the little town. She knew that the reaction to her learning was sexist and fought for her education, leading the college to allow her to come back in, though reluctantly. Blackwell was still greeted with harsh words and was kept isolated from the rest of the students. But the male students soon warmed up to her persistent, intelligent ways. The women of the town, however, were still very cruel. It confused them that a woman would want to practice medicine. In spite of her battle with rejection, disappointment, verbal abuse, and suffering, Elizabeth Blackwell graduated on January 29, 1849, with the highest marks in all of her classes. As she walked down the stage to receive her diploma at the ceremony, the unusually large crowd watched with wide eyes as they witnessed the first woman in America to graduate from medical college, accept her degree. After the public heard of Blackwell's accomplishment, their gears began to shift. The admission of a woman for the first time to a complete medical education produced a widespread effect in America. The public press very generally recorded the event and expressed a favorable opinion of it. Women across America were frantically turning in application forms to every type of medical school. Several of them were accepted, including Elizabeth's younger sister, Emily. Blackwell's work still was not complete, as she moved on to study obstetrics in Paris, France, hoping to become a surgeon. While syringing the eye of a baby for purulent ophthalmia, the secretion of pus and inflammation in the eye, she became infected and lost the vision in her left eye. Her dreams of becoming a surgeon crumbled, but she was quick to get back on her feet. Blackwell returned to America, where she and her younger sister opened up a free medical center in New York. Later on in 1857, with the help of Dr. Mary Zakrzewska, Elizabeth and Emily opened the New York Infirmary for indigent women and children. 11 years after that, they opened the Women's Medical College of the New York Infirmary, the world's first medical school made specifically for women. Blackwell herself founded the London School of Medicine for Women. 6 years later, she was appointed the professor of gynecology at the London School of Medicine for Children. Afterwards, Blackwell shocked many, especially young ladies, when she decided to try and publish her book, Counsel to Parents on the Moral Education of Their Children in Relation to Sex, which encouraged ladies everywhere to take a closer look into what truly goes on with their bodies. The horror that was given in response was definitely evident, but the book was published in 1879, with the public, especially the women, displaying differing reactions when it came to such a sensitive topic. Blackwell did not actively practice medicine during the last 2 decades of her life, but she remained a tireless worker for a score of causes: women's suffrage, the abolition of prostitution and white slavery, morality in government, and the liberalization of Victorian prudery. She had battled all her life, and her successes had been monumental. Throughout her life, Elizabeth Blackwell faced many hardships while dealing with the isolation of others and the harsh words of gender norms in her time period. When she was born in 1821, there wasn't a single recorded female studying or practicing medicine.
Not many people who do something so phenomenal and so inspirational live to see its fruition. She saw the number of women in medicine go from 0 in this country to many.
When she died in 1910, there were 7,400 female physicians in the United States alone. As of 2010, 34% of the physicians and surgeons in America were women. In 2011, 91% of registered nurses were female. Blackwell's legacy and determination continues to shine on and inspire others, including Elizabeth Garrett, who, under Blackwell's guidance, became the first female medical school graduate in England. The medical field continues to recognize her contributions to society by showering her with awards. The Elizabeth Blackwell Medal, created in her honor, is given annually to a hard-working, dedicated female physician.
So many of us have been inspired. Her legacy was just this: the first opening of that door for a woman in medicine.
Thanks to Dr. Elizabeth Blackwell, the medical field has not only advanced in the way female patients and physicians are treated, but also how medicine has moved gender equality into a more successful and positive direction.